Ents, the tree shepherds. Today, we will delve into the history of these creatures and explore their customs, their wisdom, and their purpose. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new, and together we'll journey across the histories of Professor Tolkien's legendary world. We begin our tale in the earliest of days in the lands of Middle-earth, the continent found east of the great sea, Belagare. The Ents were beings of great stature and stood over 12 feet tall, and they were known as tree shepherds. In the days long forgotten, before the First Age officially began, Yavanna, the queen of the earth and spouse of Aule, the creator of the dwarves, brought the Ents into being. Yavanna held dominion over all natural things that grew throughout Arda. In those early times, Yavanna wanted her trees to be protected from other creatures. After Aule made the dwarves, she was given permission by the divine creator Ilúvatar, and so she gave life to the Ents. Once the Ents were alive, their task was simple: to watch over the vast forests of Middle-earth and keep its natural splendor pure and unspoiled. The male Ents adored the mighty Orome and became very close to him. The female Ents, the Entwives, loved and remained close to Yavanna, and her beauty and good nature resided in her creatures, especially the Entwives. When the elves awoke and began to spread throughout the lands of the world, the Ents befriended them. The Ents learned to speak Elvish by the elves, and their bond remained across the ages of the earth. Eventually, the Ents would create their own form of communication, known as Entish, a slow, murmuring speech that developed over time. Ents were immortal, like the elves, and the only way they could perish was by physical destruction through battle. Before the Second Age began, Middle-earth was covered by a vast forest, particularly the lands of Eriador. The Entwives eventually migrated further east, where they tended to smaller flora. The old forest was eventually dismembered, and many of the trees were cut down once the kindred of Elendil made Middle-earth their home after the destruction of Númenor. The old forest was also greatly affected by the war fought between Sauron and Celebrimbor in Eregion. The Entwives were mostly destroyed during the rise of Sauron and his orc hordes in the Second Age, and the once great domain of the Ents diminished. By the time of the War of the Ring, the Ents only survived in a small number of locations. Most of them could be found in Fangorn Forest, and others, like the Huorns, which were similar tree-like creatures to the Ents, resided in the old forest of Eriador near the Shire. Ents became a thing of legend, and they were rarely witnessed by other sentient beings. Although the Ents were slow and very old, their inner power remained, even at the time of the Lord of the Rings. This was evident during their march on Isengard, after Fangorn, also known as Treebeard, met the lost hobbits Merry and Pippin. After an Entmoot, where the Ents met and deliberated their actions, the decision was made to attack Isengard and take back the land from Sauron's shadow, which had ensnared the White Wizard Saruman. The Ents successfully sacked Isengard and drove out Saruman. The Ents then renamed Isengard Treegarth, and the great forest shepherds replenished its land with new flora. After the victory of the free peoples against Sauron, King Elessar gave the Ents dominion over Treegarth, where they were free to govern the land as they willed. The following is an excerpt from The Two Towers, when Merry and Pippin first meet Treebeard. Pippin, though still amazed, no longer felt afraid. Under those eyes, he felt a curious suspense, but not fear.
"Please," he said, "who are you? And what are you?"
A queer look came into the old eyes, a kind of wariness. The deep wells were covered over.
"No,"
answered the voice.
"Well, I am an Ent, or that's what they call me. Yes, Ent is the word. The Ent I am. you might say in your manner of speaking. Fangorn is my name according to some. Treebeard others make it. Treebeard will do.
An Ent? Said Mary. What's that? But what do you call yourself? What's your real name?
Oh, now,
replied Treebeard.
Oh, now that would be telling. Not so hasty, and I am doing the asking. You are in my country. What are you, I wonder? I cannot place you. You do not seem to come in the old lists that I learned when I was young. But that was a long, long time ago, and they may have made new lists. Let me see. How did it go? Learn now the law of living creatures. First name the four, the free peoples. Eldest of all, the elf children. Dwarf the delver, dark are his houses. Int the earthborn, old as mountains. Man the mortal, master of horses.
We always seem to have got left out of the old lists and the old stories, said Mary. Yet we've been about for quite a long time. We're hobbits. Why not make a new line? Said Pippin. Half-grown hobbits? The hole dwellers. Put us in amongst the four, next to man, the big people. And you've got it.
Not bad,
said Treebeard.
That would do. So you live in holes, eh? It sounds very right and proper. Who calls you hobbits, though? That does not sound elvish to me. Elves made all the old words. They began it.
Nobody else calls us hobbits. We call ourselves that, said Pippin.
Come now. Not so hasty. You call yourselves hobbits, but you should not go telling just anybody. You'll be letting out your own right names if you're not careful.
We aren't careful about that, said Mary. As a matter of fact, I'm a Brandybuck. Meriadoc Brandybuck. Though most people call me just Mary, and I'm a Took, Peregrine Took. But I'm generally called Pippin, or even Pip.
The Ents have always been beings of Middle-earth that have greatly intrigued me. Their slow, meandering nature is quite comical to behold, but their wisdom of the world around them and memory is unrivaled amongst the created beings of the world beneath the Ainur. Except maybe Tom Bombadil, but Tom is another topic for another day. The existence of the Ents and how much they witnessed in their time is kind of mind-boggling. I love how Professor Tolkien incorporated these old creatures into the War of the Ring, taking back their land and expelling the evil presence of Saruman. The Ents entering the War of the Ring is another example of how Tolkien used the small folk in big ways, when Merry and Pippin influenced the Ents' decision to enter the fray and take down the fallen White Wizard. I want to know your thoughts on these magnificent creatures. What do you like most about the Ents? What is one of your favorite Treebeard moments in Lord of the Rings? Let me know in the comments. Have a wonderful day, and be sure to join me next time as we once again take a journey across Arda.